Good day, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is where you are. Welcome everyone to the Seedify HODLers live YouTube Ask Me Anything AMA, together with the founders of Landshare, Travis and Jordan. As well as today we've got Marcus as our Seedify HODLer host as well. So without further ado, you may know Seedify.fund. They're a blockchain innovation hub with a DAO-driven seed stage fund, incubator, as well as a launch pad. Effectively, the seed funding mechanism and decentralized incubator is going to be launched soon. But we've already had the first IDO over the last week, so we've got a very exciting month coming up. Next up is Landshare, and if you don't already know, in order to participate in these IDOs, you need to hold SFUND. So 100 SFUND will get you into the lottery. If you hold 1,000, then you get a guaranteed spot in each and every IDO through the launch pad, it goes from there. So it's very much lower than a lot of other similar projects. So it's really differentiates and really gives the small guy a chance. Okay, that's Seedify.fund. A little bit about Seedify HODLers. We're separate from Seedify, but we're effectively supporting Seedify. We think it's an absolutely great project, and we help out with marketing, and we want to make sure it's successful. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about Landshare. We're going to find a little bit more about the project, what drove the guys to start it up, where they think it's going, and how it's going to make money for you. So I think without further ado, we're going to just hand over to Jordan, and perhaps you want to just give a quick intro.
Sure. So I'm Jordan. I'm the CEO and lead blockchain developer for Landshare. My personal background, educational background, is in computer science. After college, I joined the Air National Guard as a digital network analyst, where I received 1 year of training from the U.S. Navy in cybersecurity, network protection, information assurance, and programming. Beyond that stuff, I've been coding for over 10 years. Spent the last few years learning this Solidity programming language, which is for smart contract development on Ethereum and the Binance Smart Chain. Our motivation for Landshare was to bring real estate to the DeFi space and really offer a solution for real estate on DeFi that goes beyond just buying and selling real estate with crypto assets. Instead, we want to offer an enticing use case and a full-fledged DeFi platform for people who maybe aren't normally interested in real estate development, or they don't think that they can invest in real estate because they don't have enough money or they don't have the access to the funds. Landshare offers something to those investors, and it allows pretty much anyone to earn yields based on real estate assets.
Thank you. Right, Marcus, you're on mute.
Welcome to our AMA, Jordan and Travis. Thank you for the introduction. If you were, let's say, have to describe Landshare in just a few minutes, what would you say to the community and potential investors to make it attractive for them?
So I think, like I said earlier, Landshare offers a solution for real estate on DeFi. We're not just giving people the chance to spend crypto assets to buy real estate. We're trying to create a full platform for all kinds of different real estate investments. So you can earn yields based on rental income or appreciation. You can invest in house flipping projects, or even buy tokenized real estate assets that we manage on our end, and then you can hold the tokens, sell them, gain dividends based on the properties. So And in addition to that, we have the typical DeFi features, things like token staking, things like buyback mechanic, token burns, governance protocol. So we're trying to bring the full features of both real estate and decentralized finance together into one, because we think that decentralized finance as a technology can disrupt the traditional financial institutions, and real estate is part of that. We've seen how DeFi can change loans, insurance, banking, all that kind of stuff. So with real estate, we wanted to bring that change to the real estate market as well.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Travis, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you kind of summed it up. We're just really looking to open up real estate investing to a whole different market of investors who may not normally have the necessary capital to enter.
Okay. Just moving on to the next question, really was about specifically about property. What brought you both into it? Is it something you got into because you're buying property, or you've got a background in maybe some rental properties? What was it about property that really appealed to you?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing is that property has always pretty much been a traditionally sound investment, and I wouldn't think I'm too far off by saying that when the average person thinks about investing, one of the first things that comes to their mind is real estate. So with property appreciation and rental income, those are both ways and opportunities to gain some passive income and protect yourself against inflation.
Okay. Jordan?
Yeah, and just to expand on that, we don't think that the current real estate options on the blockchain are really taking full potential of the technology, and that's why we wanted to bring it and try to create this, as decentralized as possible platform for real estate investment. And it's an investment that is always going to be there. The crypto market's up and down all the time, but people are always going to be buying real estate assets. People are always going to be renting out real estate assets. It's a market that will always be there. And so the stability of that market, when combined with crypto, which is traditionally considered a volatile market, we think we can, create a very solid combination between the high returns of crypto and the stability of the real estate market. And that's kind of why we decided to base our project around real estate.
Okay.
All right. So basically, you guys are opening up the market for real estate investments for people with lower finances available.
Right.
So what you mentioned is that you make use of the Landshare property vault, which will generate its yields from both real estate and Binance Smart Chain yield farming as a way of producing the target yield of 20 until 40%, which includes stablecoins and Landshare tokens. So if you had to explain this to the investors, why would they choose for investing in Landshare in real estate compared to a regular crypto? You just mentioned something about the volatility, because you target to reduce the volatility, because generally the real estate is a stable investment. Do you have anything else to add to that in relation to investing in other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, so just to start out with the yield model for the property vault, we wanted to, like I said earlier, we want to take full advantage of DeFi. So since we're on the Binance Smart Chain, we want to give people returns that aren't just from the real estate assets, but also from yield farming, because we have that ability to do it. So we're giving people 3 forms of yields in the property vault. The first one is the real estate assets, which includes rental income and property appreciation. The second thing is the yield farming bonus, which we generate from third-party yield farming protocols. And then the third one is the Landshare token payout. So when you combine these 3, you can get up to 40% APR on a BUSD investment. As far as why someone would choose to invest in our platform, 40% on a stable coin is pretty good. You're not going to find that in a lot of other places. And so we think that when people look at the yields that we're offering for just a BUSD investment, there's no fees on it, and that's before compounding as well. We wanted to take the rewards that you get from the property vault and then reinvest them. You could see even higher returns on that. We just think that the 40% number on a BUSD investment is very good, and it's a stable investment.
Okay, I mean, just to expand on that, I mean, if you've got a mixture of yields, how do you plan blending them? I mean, if you get in terms of the allocation, I mean, you say one section performs particularly well, the other doesn't. How are you benchmarking the performance? How would an investor know what to expect other than 20 to 40? I mean, is there any way that they can track that?
Yeah, so if you look at the app, we have it broken down like the percentage of the yields that are coming from the property appreciation, the percentages that are coming from rental income, yield farming, and the Landshare token. We have the ability to modify each of those parameters. Obviously, the real estate, we can't modify that. But let's say the real estate market is a little bit sluggish at some point. We can then turn up the yield farming bonus to compensate, or we can turn up the Landshare token payout to compensate for the loss of income from the properties, or vice versa. So we have the ability to modify some of those things to make sure that people are always getting a solid return on their investment. And again, the real estate assets, we can't control that because it's based on the real estate market, but the yield farming bonus and the Landshare token payouts is something that we have control over on our end.
Okay. So just moving on, just looking at, I think you've probably the second question you've probably virtually answered with that. I mean, it's if one particular section performs, say you get really outstanding returns from one side, are you going to be capping the returns, or are you going to giving some of that back to the investors if there's above average returns?
So I think that our target is like that 30 to 40%. But if things go higher than that, we're not going to complain about that. We'd like to offer the best returns that we can to our investors. So I wouldn't say that we put a cap on it. The only consideration is that we don't want to mint too many Landshare tokens as a reward. So let's say that the yield farming is doing really well and the properties are doing really well. Maybe we'd consider lowering the payout of Landshare tokens, because obviously the more tokens we mint, the more tokens are in the market and the more potential there could be for dumping. So, but I wouldn't say that we'd want to put a cap on it by any means.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you for explaining a bit of the basics of the yield structure that you have in mind for Landshare. So I would like to move on to the tokenomics of Landshare. It's a very important aspect to consider when people are investing in a project. So when you speak of using the services of Landshare, it is written that for every 10 BUSD you need to hold one Landshare token at this stage. Is that a solid thing for the future, or can it change? So let's say $5, depending on changes in the Landshare token price or any other developments in the project to attract new investors or to incentivize holders to stay instead of going away? Or is it fixed for forever, or is it depend on, let's say, a DAO voting, for example?
Yeah, so it would be subject to change, just depending on the different conditions. The ratio is designed to be able to strike a balance between the use case of the token and not creating such a high barrier of entry that nobody would be able to enter the property vault if the land token price, escalated. So the ratio will be adjusted based on the token price and the demand for the vault, and then as well as community feedback. And then as we implement our governance protocol in the future, we will also open that up to a voting process where the community can then decide about what type of ratio they would want.
Okay. Right. With Seedify, you need to have a minimum of 100 SFUND to be able to start accessing the IDOs. Now, you've mentioned that Landshare tokens required to use the core platform features. So, what's your minimum amount of Landshare that's needed to participate?
So as we just kind of discussed a little bit there with that ratio of 10-1, that'll be the ratio for the property vault at launch. Again, subject to change, and then when a governance protocol rolls out, the community can vote on changing that as well. But then for future expansions for things like the property vault and other post-launch features, we're still determining the token requirement for access to those vaults.
Okay, is that something you plan on giving an update on before you go before August the 2nd?
It just depends on where we're standing at with the development on those features and also community feedback. It'll probably be a similar feature to of a ratio. As far as the set ratio, that's still up for determination.
Okay.
All right, thanks for that again. So one thing about the tokenomics is that you include a donation part in the white paper, and you mentioned that it works as a deflationary measure. Does this mean that some of the tokens will be burned, or is the deflationary impact limited to the period that the tokens are locked for only?
So for that feature, the main deflationary mechanic is the token lock, because we're not sure if people are going to use the feature if we're burning too many of their tokens. There is a 1% burn on tokens that go into that feature. Basically, the way it works is people can put their tokens into the donation contract. It'll lock them for a period of time, like 3 months, for example. And then based on the amount of tokens that gets locked, the Landshare team will donate to a charity that gets voted on by the governance protocol. So this is something that we're doing for a number of reasons. One, just to give back and just to do something good. And then two, those tokens are locked up for a certain amount of time, which reduces the circulating supply. And we feel that if we're making partnerships with charities, housing related charities or environmental charities, that could help amplify our platform and give us additional exposure. So that feature, the primary deflationary mechanic, would just be the token locks, because we don't want to burn people's tokens. They're already doing something good with no return on their part, so we don't want to punish them too much for that. It's mostly something that comes out of our end.
Okay, thank you. Just moving on to looking at where you're going to be investing, and obviously property market is worldwide. We can probably take a guess from your accents where you're looking to start the property investment, but perhaps it wasn't in the white paper. So just want to see what are your views on where you're going to be investing. Is it going to be commercial, residential? How are you going to have a mix of property types and classes? Just perhaps give us your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, so for right now, we're focusing solely on properties within the United States at this time, specifically residential properties. As far as selecting these properties, we're going to be working with local real estate advisors when it comes to selecting them to bring in the best returns on investment for our investors. But as we look to grow and expand, we have plans to look into other markets for things such as short-term rental options with companies like Airbnb, or even international markets if it makes sense for our platform and investors. Okay,
and just perhaps expanding on that. I mean, obviously, I'm aware it's sometimes quite difficult to manage property from a distance. So presumably, it's something that's in your interest to make sure it's fairly local. So you've got your eyes on it, presumably.
Right. Yeah. So that's going to be the main reason why we're focusing on properties in the United States, is that's where we are, easier for management, and then just more familiar with as far as laws go, and just the market in general.
Okay, thank you for that. Just wanted to move on to what I think is quite an interesting part of your proposition, which was being able to give people the ability to invest in a property to then flip it on sale. Perhaps you could just give us a bit more, because that's a lot of interest on Telegram. Yeah,
that's one of the features that we're most interested in implementing as well. As far as selecting these properties, we'll also be working with local real estate advisors, and then also people who have experience with flipping these properties. We're reaching out to various content creators, people on YouTube, things like that, who do it for a living, and working for a collaboration with them towards potentially having something be hosted on there, so that way our community can also see the flip occur as it happens.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. One thing though that I think has also come up is looking at the legals on this, because obviously you get your investment, and then you put but roughly we don't know what sort of levels of investment are going to be needed, but once the flip is done, then to realize that investment, you need to make a sale. Now, that could take some time. I mean, are you going to be publishing sort of criteria for that, so people know what to expect? So if it takes a bit longer, a few months longer, they get updates and they can understand what's going on.
Yeah, so we'll be transparent as possible with it, as far as documentation with property acquisitions, kind of this status of where we're at with the flip as far as renovations goes, sales, all that will be as transparent as possible. As far as giving out exact deadlines or dates, I'm going to let Jordan take care of that one, as he will be able to explain that process a little bit better.
Right. So like you said, there's going to be some variance in how long does it take to sell the property, how long does it take to renovate the property, things like that. So when you invest in the crowdfunded house flipping, there should be kind of an understanding that there's no guaranteed timeline for this process. But generally speaking, it's not going to be more than like 4 months. The way that houses are selling these days, they get listed, and in many cases they're sold in the same day. So right now we're not too concerned about the process of the sale taking too long, or the process of the renovation taking too long. What we would tell our investors is expect about 4 months, but we can't guarantee anything. That's just the nature of the market and the nature of how these things work.
Okay, so in terms of the investment, then, in terms of who actually that property is you put the money in, who actually owns that property? Presumably it's going to be some entity that you've got control over. How's that going to work?
Yeah, so we have a separate entity that owns the real estate assets, and that entity would acquire the property, renovate the property, and then sell the property. So that is handled separately from the platform. The entity that controls the platform does not have direct control of the asset. And that's just done for legal reasons, basically to prevent a security classification. But we do control both entities, so it's all in-house. It's just separated into a different LLC.
Okay, so just very quickly, just to expand on that. So that's to avoid falling foul of things like the Howey test and so on. So Landshare isn't something that US citizens or residents can invest in at the moment, in terms of, would that be correct?
Yeah, so we restricted U.S. residents from our pre-sale. U.S. residents may be able to use the property vault, but as far as crowdfunded house flipping or any future features that could constitute any kind of legal property investment, those features would require KYC, and U.S. investors would be restricted from those features.
Okay, thank you. Because that again, that's a question that comes up quite often. Okay, looking. I know that probably answers the last question actually. So, have I missed anything? Was anything else you'd like to say?
I think we've covered everything. I think we're ready to open it up to the community questions.
Okay, Sophia, have we got any questions? Okay, so the first one, how do you consider Landshare as a way for young adults to try and understand how real-life real estate works? And I guess this is because it's quite difficult for people, especially in certainly Western countries, the property price boom of the last couple of decades, to actually invest in property in a meaningful way. So, guys, what's your thoughts on that question?
So I think one good tool that we're going to be having is under our app, we're going to have a reference property to our a page to our reference properties, where it is going to break down, past performances, expected growth, property appreciation, rental income, as well as expenses such as how much, house insurance would cost, HOA fees, things like that. So it's going to be able to give young investors who aren't too familiar with real estate and maybe some of the hidden fees of real estate, they'll be able to see those and kind of learn a little bit more about real estate that way. Good,
thank you. That's a very good point. Okay, next question. How are the devs planning to choose which properties to rent / renovate? Do they have experience in real estate or plan to employ a full-time agent? I think we covered a little bit. Perhaps you just want to recap on that, because I think it's an important point.
Yeah, so our selection process, it revolves mostly around creating as much rental income relative to the property value, because we're not really in the business of just accumulating as much raw real estate value as possible, because that doesn't give a return to our investors. What gives a return to our investors is that rental income. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for rental income. We're looking for things like apartment complexes, multifamily homes, things where we can rent out multiple rooms within one property and generate as much income as possible that way. We won't be employing a full-time in-house real estate person, but we will be working with real estate professionals in the area who are very familiar with the market and who do it for a living. So those people will be helping us as well.
Thank you. Hi, Marcus.
Okay, apologies everyone for the short interruption. I had a bit of a power shutdown here. It happens every now and then in this side of the world. So I'm back. Hello everyone. Do we have more questions from the community coming in? Land tokens will be used as a collateral to access property vault, but it's only required when transaction needs to be made to or from property vault. So what would keep investors to hold on to land?
So you need to have the land token collateral anytime you want to deposit, withdraw, or harvest from the property vault. The reason that we didn't want to have investors have to lock the tokens in is because that effectively reduces the return on your investment. Because if you're locking the Landshare tokens in to the property vault, well, now all of a sudden that 30% APR becomes 20% APR because you have a higher principal investment. So we want to strike a balance between creating a use case for the token and creating value for the token while not disincentivizing the use of our features. But with the other features like the crowdfunded house flipping, because the yields on that would be higher than the property vault, we would require you to lock a certain amount of Landshare tokens for the duration of the process of flipping the house. And then on top of that, you can stake the Landshare tokens. So we expect a lot of people that are using the property vault rather than incurring the fees of constantly buying, selling, the Landshare token, they may just decide to stake the tokens or add liquidity or something like that instead of just constantly flipping the tokens. And then on top of that as well, if you want to vote in the governance protocol, which has some big impacts like the amount of money that goes into the reward pool, the fee structures, the collateral rates, things like that, you'll have to have the token to vote as well. So we think that there's quite a bit of incentive to hold the token rather than just selling it.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? As the project grows, there will be many properties rented. So will you probably some kind of website where all the properties can be tracked? So yes, so a sort of dashboard of these properties.
Yeah, so under our app, there's going to be that reference property section, and it's going to list all of our properties, their details as far as square footage, beds, baths, associated fees, and it'll be just kind of one large database of all the properties, so that way anybody can access that and view what properties we have in our possession.
Excellent. So very much to focus on being very open with how these returns are being generated, certainly from the property side. That's good. Any more questions, please?
So what would keep someone to hold on land tokens?
So I think we kind of covered that one.
I think we've just had that one with
Yeah.
the with the previous question before the dashboard one. Do we have a next question? All right. When we buy a property, we get to see a physical thing, but here everything is on blockchain. So how do you guys convince people to have the trust to put their money in Landshare as an investment in property?
So I think the trust comes from a level of transparency. I mean, if you can go in to our page and you can see a picture of the house, you can see all the information about the house, you can see documentation about the house that shows that we are in possession of it, things like that. And then just, I think over time, as people use our platform and as we build our platform, trust comes with time, I think, but also transparency is something that's very important to us. Providing our investors with as much information about the properties as possible, because what we really want to do is give people the experience of real estate investment. It's not just a number on a DApp that goes up. It's an experience of real estate investment. Like, where's my money coming from? What are the expenses? Why am I getting this amount of money? It's all laid out for you, and then as well as projections for the future. So people can make an informed investment based on the information that we provide, and being transparent as well. I think those are the things that are going to build trust in our platform.
Okay.
Good. What kind of marketing will the Landshare team do after IDO and when the market is bearish? Okay.
So as far as marketing, that's obviously something that's always going to be ongoing. We're currently reaching out to many other projects within the BSC ecosystem and have a couple things lined up for post-launch that we'll be excited to announce once those get unveiled. As far as the what happens in a bearish market, that's one of the things that's kind of a strength of Landshare is a lot of crypto assets are based on speculation, whereas Landshare and their yields are derived from real estate. So even in a bearish market, the real estate payouts are always going to be remaining constant as long as the real estate market remains constant.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Do we have any more questions coming up? I saw a feature called daily buyback and burn in white paper. What's the idea behind it?
So the daily buyback feature, it takes the percentage of the funds from the property vault, the BUSD funds from the property vault, and it buys the Landshare token on a DEX, and then it distributes those tokens to Landshare token stakers. So it's a reward mechanism to reward Landshare token stakers without having to mint new tokens, and it gives us something to do with that property vault money that people are investing. So the idea behind it overall is just to have that constant buy pressure on the token. Like every day, the contract is buying Landshare tokens on the open market. It gives people an incentive to stake those tokens, and then in our governance protocol, some of those tokens that get bought back will go into a governance fund, and then people can vote on what they want to do with that fund. For example, use it on marketing, burn some of the tokens, distribute as rewards, things like that. So the buyback mechanic allows us to provide rewards for our stakers and also give our governance protocol some funds to work with.
Okay. Thank you. Right. You say that we don't need to manage anything, and you're going to manage everything related to the properties. How much percentage of the return are you going to keep for the work? So what's on it for you guys?
So we don't actually, in terms of the property vault, our income and our interest is in just people having the token and using the token and using our platform. We don't take any fees for management of the properties in the property vault. We just want people to buy the token and use the token to invest in the property vault. So that's where our incentive comes in. In our future features like tokenized asset purchases, in that case, what we might do is we sell an asset with tokens, and then we may collect a management fee on that. But for our launch feature, the property vault, there's no management fee. It's just about the tokens for us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have more? Currently, the property vault will have BUSD as far as I know. So do we expect to have your own stablecoins backed by the properties you guys buy?
Yeah, so that would be part of our upcoming feature, which is tokenized asset acquisition. Basically, how that works is there'll be a real estate LLC that owns one asset. And what you can do now is you can do what's called a tokenized LLC, where instead of selling shares of a company, you can sell tokens that represent the value of that company. And this would be classified as a security, so this would require KYC, and this would restrict certain countries and certain investors from participating. But this would constitute legal ownership. And let's say we mint 100,000 tokens, and then the property is worth $100,000. So each token has a value of $1. The property appreciates 10%. The token will appreciate 10%. So as far as asset-backed coins, the Landshare token itself is not backed by assets. It's a platform utility token, but we do plan to implement asset-backed tokens in the future.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. That's awesome. Do we have more?
Yeah. How many people are currently working? Excuse me. How many people are currently working behind Landshare? So beyond you guys, do you have anybody else working with you?
Yeah. So we have it's Travis and I are the two lead team members. We have our lead web developer, Sumit, and he has a team of 15 people as well. And they work with us on web development, graphic design, all of that kind of stuff. So there's a pretty big group of people there. Then we have our community team, which includes Cassandra and some other community members that we've brought in from our community onto our team to sort of just answer questions in the Telegram, help promote the project, things like that. Then on top of that, we have a lot of partnerships. We have our OIG partnership. We have a partnership with a Korean marketing agency. We've got several other marketing partnerships. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are contributing to the success of Landshare as well. And that's not even mentioning the people who work with us on the real estate side, on the legal side, on the tax side of things. So there's a lot of people involved, and everyone kind of contributes to the success of the project.
Okay, just very briefly, you mentioned OIG. What's that, please?
So OIG is an investment group, and we have a strategic partnership with them where they help us with marketing, they help us with partnerships, they reach out on our behalf, they do some marketing for us, and they have a lot of connections within the BSC ecosystem that, you know, having them on our side helps us create partnerships with all kinds of people in the BSC ecosystem and raise funds and things like that. So we're really thankful that they're on board with us, and they've been a very early believer in our project.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right. Do we have more questions from the community? Any estimate when can we see the main app launch after the token listing?
Yeah, so our app is going to be launching on August 2nd, immediately following our last IDO. So it coincides with our token launch.
Okay, so you're saying that we have the IDO, I believe it's on 21st of July. The 2nd of August we have the listing on ApeSwap, and then the app goes live straight away.
Correct, yep, on August 2nd.
Okay, that's cool. Do we have more questions?
Okay, do you have any particular... Oh, yeah. I think you've already answered this. There's going to be limited to the United States, certainly initially. Okay. Any more questions? No more questions. Right. Let's wrap this up then.
All right, that's good. Okay. Thank you, everyone, community, for joining us tonight with the AMA with Landshare. Thank you very much, Jordan and Travis, for spending your time with us. I'm quite sure you guys are extremely busy right now, developing everything, preparing for the IDO, preparing for the listing, and all that comes with it. Do you guys want to add a few last words for the community before we wrap it up and finish this AMA for tonight?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys for hosting this. I mean, it's a great thing you're doing for Seedify and helping promote the projects on Seedify. If anyone's interested in more information on our platform, our website is landshare.io. You can find us on Telegram @Landshare, and then our Twitter is @LandshareIO. Should be able to find all the information about the projects and stay up to date on all the news and updates for the project.
Thank you. That's great.
All right, so thanks for that. Do you have anything to add to that, Travis, perhaps? A few last words?
No, just thanks for having us, you know.
Okay.
Glad we could be here.
Okay.
All right, cool.
And I think we're looking forward to the IDO next week. So that's going to be something. Certainly, I've got a little bit of tokens burning a hole in my wallet for.
Yeah, we're excited to have that hosted with Seedify here on the 21st.
Okay, super. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for making the time, and thanks to everybody else outside all the Seedify HODLers for making the time to watch this. And it'll be available on YouTube probably in the next 24 hours as well, if you weren't able to make it today. Thanks very much, guys, and thanks very much to everybody behind the scenes as well. Make this come together.
Yeah, thank you everyone. If you haven't been here before, please like and subscribe. Come back for the next AMA, which is perhaps either coming next weekend. So we'll let you know about the next AMA for the different IDOs for Seedify. So yeah, everyone, have a great evening. Thanks for watching, and see you guys at the IDO.
Cheers.